Hi, I'm Jenn.
And I'm Steve. Welcome back, listeners, to the finest phototainment in the world. That's right, you're listening to another episode of the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast, an irreverent look at wedding photography. This podcast, like aspirin, will help you recover from your wedding hangover. Doubly so this week because Dustin's not here. Yeah, no, he died in Disney World. It's really sad. We're really going to miss him, but, you know, these things happen. I heard he went on Space Mountain, and it just took his head clean off.
This is why I don't ride that ride.
Yeah. They call it the decapitator where I'm from. So, Jen, enough talk about Dustin being totally dead. We got a great show this week on the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast, and I'm so excited.
Wait, you didn't even let me mourn. And this is the first time I've ever even heard this.
Moment of silence. Done.
Okay, we can move on now.
This week, Jen, we don't have any follow-up. Well, we do have follow-up, but we have to save it for when Dustin's ghost is reunited with us once again. He keeps dying and coming back to life. It's crazy.
I see my ranking.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I see my ranking. I'm not good enough for the...
You're not good enough to talk about Dustin's specific topics. That is correct. But we do have some what they call follow out. Follow out being where you follow up on something another podcast talked about.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I was so excited to talk about this because you know how I love to dish out Dustin news, but...
I know. And you are the coolest person to dish out Dustin news.
I am.
And, you know, I couldn't be cooler than you, the coolest person. But we'll just have to wait. I guess people will just have to wait to find out what that coolest news is.
Hey, there's always someone who's cooler than you.
Thank you.
Might or might not be Dustin.
Thank you, Mike Posner. Thank you so much. Jen, follow out from another podcast that was recently guests on our show.
Yeah.
Sarah Cassile, Carrie Cassile, Megan McGreevy.
Great people.
They were talking about an interesting thing they found on Facebook.
What was that?
Basically, a photographer did a shoot for a couple.
Okay.
And it was an enjoyable shoot. It was fun. Later on, the couple asked, you know, could we do some more photos? Also, you're attractive. Maybe we could work something out. Vis-a-vis threesome. Menage a trois.
Done. Feels like a pretty valuable payment.
So it was the husband who asked this and basically said, you know, maybe we double team you and that is your payment for the shoot, the family shoot.
Oh my gosh, the family.
Yeah. So they had some opinions on giving us up. Carrie Cassile.
Yeah.
Sarah's husband and the producer, editor of the show, was very much like, but what if they were both 10s? And apparently they were not 10s, the people had asked.
It would not matter to me. Oh, you know what? Actually, if they were 10s, I think I would be even more uncomfortable. Because I don't know if I view myself as a 10. I would feel maybe like I wasn't giving, or I don't know, like maybe it would be too much payment. Maybe them paying me my regular rate
maybe
would be
would
better.
Maybe you would owe them then if they were 10s.
Who knows?
I don't know. What is the value of sex?
Well, I heard it's one of the highest grossing industries.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring this up because Sarah made the point of we would like photos and also your vagina is basically what the guy said to them. And
I wasn't really sure. I guess I didn't catch on if it was a guy or a girl.
It was the husband who asked. And
the photographer, though, is what I meant.
Oh, the photographer was a girl.
Okay.
And they asked this, and then the question that was posed was, but by Carrie and Megan to Sarah, what if the couple was famous? And if you did their photos, you would then be famous forever. So what would it take in a hypothetical situation where you and I aren't married anymore? That's done.
What if we
totally
are?
Done. Nope. That's never happening if we are. Hypothetical situation, you and I aren't married.
But let's hypothetical if we are.
What would it take to get you to even consider this?
I don't know. I'm down to clown. I would say I would first have to feel comfortable with a couple. Like it wasn't something where, and they had to know me well enough that they could ask this question and not for me to file some sort of report claiming that they were a violation of my space. I don't know.
They're basically turning the photographer into a prostitute, or turning themselves into prostitutes.
They're
turning themselves into prostitutes, and they're making the photographer a person who's soliciting a prostitute.
This is what I do in this situation. If I thought, I don't know, this might be something I would enjoy, I would say,
how hard to watch you talk about this.
How about this? You pay me my rate, so it's not illegal, and I still will have a threesome with you.
How about this? You pay me my rate, so it's not illegal, and then also you pay me for the sex. I'm a very good sex boy.
Oh, so you're like switching it. Okay.
Yeah, now I'm a good sex boy.
You were turning into Dustin in this situation. You're making money off of them.
You got to profiteer somehow, Jen.
Oh my gosh, you're possessed by the spirit of Dustin, aren't you? Oh my gosh.
That's right. Dustin's ghost is here in the studio with us right now.
How Dustin talks.
This is how Dustin talks. In my head, I change everything I hear from him to that voice, so it sounds funnier to me.
But it's not in your head. Listening. Dustin is inside you, in your head. You don't have to change Dustin, it. You are Dustin.
If I'm Dustin, then that means I get to do all the ridiculous accents.
All right, next
Moving on.
Try an accent now.
Try an accent?
Yeah.
But with that Dustin modifier I put on? Brooklyn? Hey, it's me, Brooklyn Pizza. Jen, there is a segment we do on the show every time.
What is that? I've actually never listened to this podcast.
That is, what are you drinking? It's time for beer talk.
Guys, I've classed this mother effer up. Instead of beer, I poured 2 glasses of wine. I'm turning him into a good old fancy boy, drinking that good Indiana wine.
I'm a good old fancy sex boy. That's right. And I will have the sexes with the peoples for the monies.
Oh my gosh, I will die if your mom ever stumbles upon this episode.
She'll more than likely stumble upon an earlier episode and get out then.
Okay. What about you talking about dick pics?
Probably. There's been a lot of episodes where we talk about that. So.
Well, I'll say this wine is not just any kind of wine.
So tell us a little bit about the wine.
Steve and I like to go wine tasting every once in a while, typically every day. But since we, kids, we can't really do that. So any opportunity we can get to that's us separated from the children, because we do go on to a lot of quote unquote dates with the kids, and they just play. We try to go to places where they can kind of play and we can hang out together. So anytime we're doing something separate, we love to do things that you cannot bring kids to. So Indiana, you cannot bring kids into most breweries unless they serve food. Well, actually, they have to serve food if you can bring them in. And wineries, kids aren't allowed either. So we had a winery that was about a mile away from our house at our old place that we lived in, Muncie, Indiana, Middletown, hometown USA. And the winery is called Tonne. The wine is not
pronounced like sunny, but spelled like Tonne.
Not like Tonne. It
is Tonne.
I mean, this is not going to be your California wine. It's Indiana wine. But they've got this diamond in the rough. It's called Granny Red Rockett.
And there's a lot of rough at this winery.
And for some reason, every time I hear Granny Red Rockett, I think of a dog penis. But
I'm drinking dog penis.
But this bottle of wine is the most fabulous thing I've ever tasted. It's my favorite drink, and I am typically a beer person.
This wine has a lot more in common with
bourbon.
With a bourbon than
brandy.
It does with a wine, I would say. I don't think it has that much in common with a brandy, to be honest.
I think it's sweet like a brandy.
Brandy's got that hard licorice taste to them. Like this is more sweet like a bourbon.
But what does bourbon have? Like a kind of like a Bernie.
Barrel-aged,
flavor.
Sweet, a little bit of a burn.
This has a little bit of burn.
The
It's
sort of
very
thing that
sweet.
makes you think once I start drinking, I might never stop. What?
Yeah, but would you prefer this or bourbon?
Bourbon.
Okay, exactly. And
Hundo P.
do what?
Hundo P. Yeah. Bourbon.
All right, we're going to move on from that. Anyway, it's really great. And
That's from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, just
know
for the
it.
record.
I know
It's
it
White
is.
Josh.
I know it
and
is.
you were just watching that before we started recording.
I know.
I know, but you gave me a look like I was a terrible human for saying
Let's
Hundo
move
P.
on from this. This wine, though, is incredibly tasty. It's like a bourbon brandy wine. It's a port, and good luck finding it because they run out super quickly, and they make it one time a year, sometimes not even that. So I bought lots of bottles so we would run out. But we just opened our first one, and I am happy.
It's similar to a port wine, but it tastes better than most port wines, I'd say.
Way better than any port wine I've ever had.
So, Jen, let's move on to topics.
I want to have a threesome with this wine.
And you'll take photos of it. Amy in a random Facebook group, just venting. Amy says, a bride reached out to me in the beginning of November wanting me for July 20th of this year, but she doesn't want to put down a deposit till January. I said no problem, but I don't hold dates without a deposit and contract. I can't guarantee your date will be available without those things. She said no problem. She'll put a deposit down in January and maybe I can let her know if someone wants her date. I said I'm first come, first served. I can't promise that I would let her know. Flash forward to today, mid-March, she wants to put down a deposit and wants me to honor my old pricing. LOL. I said sorry, your date has been taken, and I gave recommendations to other photographers. She didn't reply to me, but put up an in search of photographer post saying her photographer has let her down and is no longer available. Naturally, many photographers are commenting, so sorry you're going through this, blah, blah, blah.
Gosh.
It takes everything in me not to say, I am not your damn photographer and never was. So just wanted to share another point of view to all those my Photog let me down posts that y'all are seeing right now.
That's actually a great point.
Yeah.
That makes me wonder how often we've been taken advantage of.
How often do we jump on posts like that?
No, we don't, but I do get emails like that a lot where, oh, my photographer was like, let me down, or it wasn't available, or had to book somebody else, or, whatever it is.
And you're like,
it's always the
don't
photographers.
let me down.
Like, they make themselves a victim. Yeah, go ahead. Keep singing.
I can't. I don't sing good. You sing good. I don't sing good.
Best foot forward. Ready?
Don't let me down. I think it's a little band called The Buggles.
They were originally called Buggles, though.
So, Jen, you said you feel like you might have been taken advantage of multiple times by other photographers.
Okay, let me get this straight, though. Anytime anybody has said that, I'm not like, oh my gosh, let me give you $2,000 off. I'm like, okay, here's my rates. We hardly ever book those weddings. I do not give a discount for someone being a procrastinator. They're coming to me 3 months before and like, oh, I wasn't able to get my photographer because they didn't have my date available anymore. They booked it. Well, that sounds like it's your fault. But I mean, we've had situations where people dropped out like the week of, and then they're looking for a photographer. And I think that they're trying to find a photographer in the base range of, hey, I want equivalent to what I wanted to pay minus the deposit that I put on the other photographer. And no, I'm sorry. It wasn't my fault that your photographer did that, but I'm more than happy to help you in any way I can. And if it's like an off weekend or I haven't been working every single weekend of that month, then yeah, maybe I'll be like, yeah, it's actually a fun video. I'll shoot it and you sound like a cool couple. But if it's just like a basic person, basic people, blah.
So you rank potential clients and you only are nice to ones who sound like they're having a cool wedding.
I think that bad things happen to bad people. Good things happen to good people. So
if your photographer let you down, it's because you're a bad person.
No, I honestly, I'm going to say, okay, what's your range? They're looking for someone. I'm more than happy to send over some recommendations for people if they're not in the range that I am typically. I'm more than happy to help people, but I think that there's a lot of people are just a lot of I don't want to say a lot. There are couples who are trying to take advantage of photographers or any wedding vendor in general because they know from other people's experience, they can get around paying full price. And honestly, I just say I only shoot so many weddings a year. I only shoot, 20, 25 weddings a year. I'm either booked out or I am getting close. And more than likely, I will end up fulfilling that date. And budget reasons, I'm not able to bring my prices down.
My favorite is when you send an email out and you say, we only shoot 25 weddings a year. You would be the 26th. I could do your wedding, but it's going to cost you
double,
baby.
And I'm the only shooter. So
yeah. Well, probably I'd be the only shooter. You'd take that day off.
Yeah. I'll be like double my rate and Steve's shooting it.
So how often do we get requests like that though?
More recently? No, 2019 has sucked. So no, not more recently. I think people are taking to social media more. But I feel like maybe 2016, 2017, we would get maybe one a month that people complaining about a vendor doing them wrong.
I've had my ear to the grindstone, and I've heard from a lot of vendors in Indiana and throughout the U.S. that 2019 has been kind of a low booking year for a lot of wedding professionals.
It's a really ugly year.
Yeah.
Number year.
Did you read my thoughts on this?
No, I just know I'm a genius.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a visual genius.
Yeah. Everybody is just like waiting and they're like, oh my gosh, 2020, that is so cool.
Well, you know what? If we didn't meet the time that we did, I probably would have got married in 2020. I am a huge
2020 fan.
I'm a huge Barbara Walters fan. So anytime I hear that, though, anytime someone says 2020, I just think of that. I think I'm maybe too old for this generation getting married.
I mean, if I was proposed to in 2018, towards the end of 2018,
I would get married in 2018.
I would have been like, you know what? We don't need to get married in 2019. We can get married in 2020 because then we'll have a real cool date. Everybody will look at me and say they got married in 2020.
Everyone.
For the rest of my life. That's why it's such an important thing to stick with dates that are pretty.
I see their face and they obviously got married in 2020. Look at them.
I don't understand this. There are a lot of couples who talk about how they want to get married on a date because it's a pretty date or whatever.
Okay, but
why?
Look back at our date. How often have someone say, when did you guys get married? And I'm like, and sometimes I forget. I can't even a lot of times remember the year because it's just been so long. It feels like it's been forever. It's only been 10 years, but it's been like so long. I don't understand why people don't understand that. Maybe because they don't have 10 years under their belt.
I think when they're building up to something like a wedding day, they think to themselves, I have to get here because it's going to be so awesome once I get here. And I want the date to be perfect. I want everything to be perfect.
Those expectations are very hard to meet, though.
Yeah, you're never going to meet them. That just leads to disappointment. I think a wedding's best done if you just, we're kind of switching over into wedded area, aren't we?
Yeah, let's kill this.
I think a wedding's best done, though, if you just kind of roll with the punches and let everything go.
How do you tell couples that, though? Someone needs to put something on, what's a popular BuzzFeed?
Yeah, do a viral post on BuzzFeed and say, hey, brides, eat shit. Your wedding day doesn't matter. That's going to bring in all of the clients.
All of them. We won't have to retire at all.
So, Jen,
Steven.
Schusterstitch.
Yeah, do you want me to
Schusterish from our very own Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of old. It's been a while since Dustin and I have recorded. So a lot of this stuff is kind of old.
That's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate right before his death. Oh my goodness.
I know. He would have loved this one too. John Schusterich from our very own Facebook group wrote in to say, Dogfish Head makes a beer now that can be used to process Kodak Super 8 film.
Gosh. Are you kidding me?
I'm going to drink a bunch of beer and eat a bunch of film and we're going to see what I shit out.
When I was in college.
You stepped on my joke.
I'm sorry. Let's do that again. Go ahead.
I'm going to drink a bunch of this beer and eat a bunch of film, and then we'll just see what I shit out.
Ooh, gold. When I was in college.
Pure film gold. Look at these negatives. You'd never know they came from an anus.
Okay. Well, okay, listen, though.
This was developed in a
Steven,
great Indiana man's
do you want to make my dreams come true or
stomach.
not?
I want to make all your dreams come true.
When I was in college, I was in college apparently in the dark ages because I processed film in a dark room. Ba-bum-bum.
That's a good joke. I'm very proud of you. Dark
I
room,
feel like I was
dark
getting like
ages,
the punny of Dustin. I think I have the spirit of Dustin in me, or a lot of wine. We'll see. Oh, the accents. Oh my gosh, I'm possessed by Dustin.
According to Zane Naylor, I'm the one who makes pun jokes.
Oh,
Dustin's the one
okay.
who doesn't laugh at them.
Maybe I've got a little Steve in me. Weak.
You are not pregnant. Oh my gosh. Please stop.
Okay, when I was in college, my dream once I got out of college
was to drink beer, eat film, and shit the negatives.
No, I worked in a dark room a lot in high school and in college. I loved being in the dark room, like the smells, the way that it made my nails turn color, and no, I just like.
Wait, it makes your nails turn colors?
My nails always looked like a little bit yellowish from the chemicals. Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, yuck.
Oh my gosh, I loved it.
I mean, my eyes and my teeth look a little bit yellow because my liver's failing because I drink every week for this podcast. But
I know,
you don't tell me you love that look.
Okay. I mean, there's ways to go around that. Anyway, I just loved being in the dark room. And so my dream was to have a home and have a little space in the basement that I could have my own personal dark room and be able to process my own film. It has just now got cheaper. And after we process the film, I can drink the alcohol, save some money, recycle. We're the green family. High five.
I'm not giving you a high five for this. You're not drinking alcohol that's been used to process film.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, I am.
You're going to die if
do you
do
understand?
That. There's chemicals on the film.
Do you understand that it is like my dream come true? Beer and processing film.
I will buy you beer to drink while you process film.
I'm going to drink it up.
So, Jen, speaking of, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Speaking of not knowing what the hell I'm talking about.
So, this is kind of a cool story. I just thought people would like to hear about it. Catcher Media tweeted out, imagine waiting 50 years to see your wedding photos. Not normally a wedding photographer, Derek Evans took these for fellow photographer and friend Ray Lloyd. The Lloyds never saw their photos until they were uncovered a couple of weeks ago in Hereford. I'm going to include a link to this tweet, but a photographer whose photographer friend lost the photos from his wedding. 50 years later, they uncovered the photos and found them. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it really is. And looking at the images, what I love about it is it looks like they were shot yesterday because the processed photos haven't faded.
It looks like maybe they were shot yesterday because all that 50-year-old style is back in, and everybody now is jumping on Instagram and filtering their photos to look like they were taken on old film cameras. So it looks just like a normal wedding from now.
But seriously, though, it does look like it was shot with a camera yesterday and posted on Twitter.
That's one of the cool things. Do you think 50 years from now they're going to be like, we uncovered this missing SSD.
Okay, so if these were shot
photos.
50 years ago, is the couple still together?
I'm pretty certain they are.
And alive and well?
I think she might be alive. I don't know if he is.
Oh, but that's how special. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine,
I did not
Steven?
dig deeper into that one. I probably should have.
That's sad. Let me...
You're going to do a quick search? Quick, hack
They're
the
both
internet.
dead. I'm sure. Oh my gosh.
Oh, Jen's breaking into the mainframe. She's hacking the internet. Oh no, she's got to get past the firewall. Oh no. Norton antivirus security is blocking her. She can't find the stories. Oh man.
I can't find it.
Yeah, it's all good. I don't think it was like a big time story. I think it's a little time story. Kind of story I like to highlight here on the Wedding Photo Hangover.
But it's sad if both of them are dead.
I don't think they're both dead. I think they're both alive.
50 years?
Joking.
50 years marriage?
Yeah,
Do you think we're going to be married for 50 years without your liver giving out?
Yeah. I got married at 24. You got married at 23.
Yeah.
50 years, I'll be 74. You'll be 70.
Yeah,
you'll be 36.
Dead.
50 years from now, I'll be 74. You'll be 36. That's all good. So, Jen.
Steven.
Do you want to do some Q&A?
Let's do some Q&A. Can you put my voice over yours?
Jenn, no. Wait. Clean take.
Let's do some Q&A.
Jenn, no. Cassie May Munier. Munier? She told me how to pronounce this. I totally forgot. Sorry, Cassie.
What a jerk.
From our very own Facebook group says, marketing question. Should I start advertising in my town's yard sale Facebook groups? It's obviously working well for this local Photog. I mean, she's really had to up her prices to $15 whole due to the crazy high demand she's in.
I mean, what are you going to do with all that money? $15.
Update, Jenn. Some people are pissed it's not $10 anymore. Supply and demand, baby.
Oh, they actually upped it. Like, the price is now $15, not she's charging $15 more.
Another update. You get the pics via text message. Isn't that better than USB?
It is, actually.
She has dozens of comments and people that legitimately want to do this. Send help and beer. I don't know that we can send you beer, Cassie, but I think we can send you some help.
Maybe we can find a coolest cooler and stick the beer in it and ship it to her. We'll wrap it really well so no one will know.
Yeah, I heard you can just jump on Amazon and buy a coolest cooler right now. If you
The reviews look amazing.
So, Jenn, as a base rule, Cassie's kind of having some fun with this one, but as a base rule, do you think it is ever a good idea to post in like a neighborhood yard sale sort of place, or maybe something a little bit more relatable to people out there listening? Is it ever a good idea to post into the Nextdoor app? So you're on Nextdoor, you see everybody who's like, oh my gosh, I saw a bag of trash on the side of the road. Does anyone know what the mayor's doing about this? Which is a real thing that was posted in our Nextdoor recently.
I just drove by it. Don't know why. There's a big old pile of trash laying on the side of the road, but it looks like trash.
They piled it right next to the sign that says Noblesville city limits. They did it on purpose.
Welcome
whoever
to
did it.
Noblesville. Trash. At
Someone's
least,
making a
all
political
I can say
statement.
is at least it's not Fort Wayne. So I'm pretty, it's starting to look like Fort Wayne, but it's not Fort Wayne. That's fine.
It's nowhere near looking like Fort Wayne yet. There'd have to be a strip club on top of the trash heap.
You've got to think about,
time
okay,
out.
so which I don't think,
Time out. Cassie.
Okay.
Time out. We should probably be nicer to Fort Wayne. I've been looking at our analytics, and most of our listeners in Indiana are located in Fort Wayne.
You live in a trash town. But we still love you.
We still love you, and we shoot weddings there, and they're at beautiful venues
No,
that
they're not.
Dustin could never shoot at.
Okay, maybe. Dustin's like, man, I've been wanting to shoot at that wedding or that venue for so long.
He'll be so pissed when he listens to this.
Brush it off. I know Cassie was being facetious, but if this is something that you really want to consider, at one point in time, we did post on Craigslist way back in the day.
We?
Because we are one, we are married.
Can't argue that.
If you want to build a brand, you've got to think about other examples in different industries. Think about the clothing industry or the fashion industry, maybe, or think about like what would be a good example would be like alcohol. Do you want to be the photographer that's packaged in a plastic bottle and it comes in a jug with a handle?
Yes.
Or
Done.
do you want to be the top shelf? I mean, if that's what you want, then charge $15 and go on one of those sites. But I will tell you, those sites are budget sites. People are going in there to look for deals. So if you do not want people contacting you and saying, hey, can I get a deal for this? Then don't post your stuff in there. You do not, just the same as like Grey Goose and other top shelf alcohol. I'm sorry, I'm not really a hard liquor drinker, but they're not going to constantly try to do like buy one get one free off of our site.
I don't know. I kind of would like to be Garfield the Deals Wizard working at the Fantasy Costco, slinging all those deals out. I just need a drop of blood and you can get this one real quick.
I feel like there might be like some LSD in that wine because I have no idea what's going on right now. What? Who's Garfield?
Sorry.
Do you have LSD too in your wine?
I'm just making the nerdiest of references right now.
So you got to clarify this for me. I have no idea what's going on.
Moving on, next question. Cortland Wilson from our very own Facebook group says, I have a question about parent photo. Oh, did you want to do the next question?
No, is this the hot photographer?
The sexy photographer.
Sexy photographer. Okay.
Yes.
Sexy photographer. All right. Sexy photographer, Cortland Wilson. From our very own Facebook group. Actually, it's not my own. The Dustin RIP.
Oh, Dustin's dead. I'll make you an admin. Don't worry.
Okay, awesome. Hey guys, it's my group too. I'm taking over. I have a question about parent photo albums. Do you charge the same amount for a parent album as your client photos album if they're identical? They're the same size, shape, and number of spreads. Thoughts?
I am so glad
you should answer this question
here, Jen, because I specifically have not answered this question on the podcast for like the last month because I have no idea what to do.
Hey guys, I have something to tell everyone.
I don't do
Steven
albums.
is a lie.
Can't do that one. I don't do albums. Jen does all the albums. She even sells albums to the clients from Redwood Lane. I don't do any of that.
I do, actually. You lie to your couples, let them know that you sell albums, but it's actually coming from me.
I'm like, here, just let me put you on hold for a second. I just got to transfer the call to a line that's going to make me sound a lot more beautiful. And then I put you on the phone and I walk away.
Hi, I'm Steve. And they're like, wow, your voice has changed. I was like, water, buddy.
So, Jen, while I have you here,
yeah,
what are your thoughts on clients' photo
discounts
albums for their parents?
I would say, at least from my experience, a lot of album companies will give you a discount, and you might as well pass that on to your client to encourage them to buy additional albums. Most couples will have 2 sets of parents, or maybe even more. I've actually had a couple buy 4 sets of albums. Giving them that discount encourages them to spend a little bit more. And honestly, it doesn't really cost you much more. You can compare what your cost will be to how much you would be losing by giving them a discount and make it somewhat even so that you're still giving them a discount, but you're really not losing very much money.
So now that Jen's done with the bad advice, let me come in with the good advice. These are parent photo albums. Who makes more money, the children or the parents? The parents. So
let's go back on that. Who makes more money, the parents or the children? I'm just saying there's a lot of situations where we're shooting weddings of lawyers and they've come from nothing.
They're still paying for their law school. The parents don't have any law school debt. They're all done paying their law school debts.
Maybe their parents are paying for their debt and they don't have any money and they're like, hey, I just married a doctor. Just saying.
I'm just saying parent albums shouldn't be cheaper. You got to charge double, triple, sometimes quadruple. They can afford it.
And this is how you go out of business. Boom.
I'd have to be in business first, baby. Jen, let's change pace here. Let's switch over to some people.
Let's switch it on to some like romantic music.
I did tell you I'm a very good sex boy, so let's switch over.
Listeners are going to be so uncomfortable. Oh, I just hate listening to Jenn and Steve. All they do is talk about having sex.
I'm very good at it. Emily from a random Facebook group says, I have my first unhappy wedding client, or not even client. Her sister, who is a, quote, photographer, left a bad review on my page. This is the first I've heard of any issues whatsoever. Are her images my best work? No, but we did well with what we had to work with. We shot at a very strict Catholic church with horrendous lighting, and they got ready in a 10x10 room with 20 people in it. She refused to do any outdoor bridal party shots, but we did get amazing couples shots. I do treat every wedding the same, but some just don't come out as good as others. This particular wedding had little to no decor, and the venues were very drab and just boring. How do you handle things like this moving forward? Contact the bride? Ignore? I thought about posting the link to the blog in the comments of her review.
Steven,
Mm-hmm.
you are reading that like you're making fun of her, but I'm like, she's legit asking a legit question.
I never said I was making fun of her.
You're-
I just
Are you making fun of her? I don't know if you're making fun of her.
I took on a voice that I thought encapsulated Emily. And whether or
So,
not
like,
you feel like that's
dumbass.
making fun of her is completely up to you.
No, this is like a question that you should be asking, especially if you're like starting off. You don't have the skill to be able to capture amazing indoor photos. Like there's people, you start off where you start off and you grow. I would say that the photos that I took indoors when I was first starting off do not compare to what I do now 10 years later. I cannot judge her for first being fairly new at making photo decisions. But what I'm saying is like this sister is a photographer. She wrote a review because she knows what's good photography. I understand that there was things that were happening during the day to make it more difficult to get those natural light pictures that either your style shoots like or the client would prefer. Best way to do is just respond to the review. Say, oh, I'm very sorry for not meeting expectations. I would say that the day was a little bit more difficult. This is what happened. Explain, don't throw the bride under the bus because I'm going to make you look like a terrible human being. Just say like, it was very hard. We had to shoot the bridal party pictures indoors. There was a lot of things that happened that prevented us from getting our best work, but I do apologize that it didn't meet your expectations. Compliment sandwich. Sorry sandwich.
Emily, this has been some great advice you've received from my wife, but now get out a pen and a piece of paper. We're about to go to war with this bitch. Emily, she came at you. She insulted your photography in her review. So instead of Emily just jumping on to her review and saying, here's a link to my blog post, instead, leave a link to her photography, Emily. The worst photo you can find and be like, I don't know if I would take advice from this photographer. Emily, you're at war now. You've gone to war. Jen, what say you? We're going nuclear over here. It's Team Steve.
Can we make t-shirts?
Nuclear at Team Steve. Done.
Cool.
She roasted your ass on Facebook or Yelp or whatever. Roast her ass right back.
Respond to the, oh my gosh. Yeah, you could do that. You look like
I think a joint ass roasting is what's needed here.
You look terrible if you do that.
I'm
Let
sorry.
me be the voice of reason. You look
one
terrible.
ass gets roasted. One ass gets roasted.
You
Fair.
look bad. This is the reason why I run our business.
Jump onto her photography page, shots fired, and now leave a review about her photography.
I think something like that would upset me just because it's like, girl, have my back. Like
You saw what I was working with.
You saw what I was working with.
You saw what your sister did.
Let me see what you did that day. Nothing. Okay.
See, that's what you leave in response to the review.
Okay.
Let me see your pictures from the day, bitch. And you have to say it like that too, because otherwise, like as a man, it just comes off super sexist to use the B word. But if you say it like that, I feel like it's
Bish.
cool.
You can say bish.
Bish, is that cool?
Yeah.
Bish.
If you're talking in that question mark voice.
I always talk in the question mark voice. That's my normal voice, Jen. Everything else
respond.
I do.
You just didn't even talk like that right now.
Everything else I do on this podcast is just play acting.
Play acting?
Jen, do you want to pick a question? You're so good at the questions. So much better than me, apparently. Or roast your ass. I'm going to get on your podcast and roast you. What's your podcast again? Oh, that's also mine. Damn it.
Do you get roasted then too?
I do get roasted there too. Damn it.
From Dustin and Steve's very own Facebook group, Dr. Mark Quinn Medicine Man asks, would you ever cancel an existing booking? Still a while away for another very exciting opportunity. Asking for a friend.
Sly smile emoji.
Smiley emoji. Sly smiling emoji guy. I always think he's farting.
It was silent, but it was deadly, and he just walked away. He crop dusted.
Asking for a friend.
There's an update.
Would be a first international wedding. Existing booking is almost passed on because of the couple were very difficult. So that is a tough one because you are potentially setting yourself up for either, depending on what your language and your contract is, either for being sued or getting a bad review, which could also be destructive. First, let Steve do a joke, and then I will say my opinion of
this was
what
posted
actually
in
happened.
our Facebook group. So Dustin and I already commented on this, and we told Mark to do the smart thing, book the wedding out, either one of them, as a exotic destination shoot for associate photographers of yours, and then fly Dustin and me, or, Jen's on the podcast with me now, and Dustin's dead. We can throw him out of this. Fly Jenn and I out to shoot one of the weddings. Doesn't matter if it's the one in your hometown, Mark, or the one in Norway. Either way, it's exotic for Jenn and I, who just live here in the middle of the United
Nebraska
States.
is exotic for us.
No. Somebody told me Nebraska was part of the Midwest, and it's not. It's a Great Plains state, so it should be exotic, but
It is the Midwest. It is, Steven. It is.
No.
I really like geography. It is.
So then you wouldn't say it's exotic if we live in the Midwest and it's the Midwest, would you?
Would you say that the muddy Mississippi is exotic?
No, I wouldn't.
Why are you pimping me out?
Why am I pimping you out, Jenn?
Yeah.
Because you would do the sexes.
No,
I don't. With a couple. You already you answered this at the top of the episode. You said I would do the sexes for the payments as opposed to money.
No, I wouldn't, because we're married. No.
I guess I'm the one who said I would do the sexes for the money. Yeah, I'm very good at it. Jenn can attest.
Chirp, chirp, chirp.
Just hearing crickets. This is so strange.
Do I need to build you up, because you look a little sad over there?
Very sad.
I'm not going to. So let's move on.
I wrote a statement out for you. It starts with Steve's a very good sex boy.
Dear wedding photo hangover, Stephen Van Elk is good at sex. This comes from his wife, who has been married with him for 10 years.
Can't argue with that statement.
This is so difficult, because it's one of those things you just want to snatch up, and it gives you opportunity to be able to do other weddings either in that area, or if you haven't done a ton of destination weddings, just having something showing that you have shot somewhere other than locally. Does your contract state anything where you are able to cancel at any point in time? Or what does that look like to cancel? And are they potentially type of people, you said that they're difficult, that are going to try to wreck your business because of the cancellation? Those are things that you definitely need to ask yourself, because that this is a great opportunity, but it also could be a very large speed bump in your business if they are the type of person who would want to drag your name into the mud.
Mud draggers, muckrakers, you could say.
One thing you can do is talk to the couple, say, hey, there's something that has come up for your date. I realize that it's a year from now. I don't want to potentially leave you hanging. What I can do is talk to some of the best photographers in the area, see if we can fulfill your date with another photographer. I will refund you 100% of the money that you made, and maybe you've done an engagement shoot or something with them. Be willing to throw that in there if you are guaranteed to book the other. Because I would say, especially if they're difficult, you need to get rid of them and take advantage of being able to travel and shoot somewhere exotic so that you can be able to shoot creatively and work with a couple that you enjoy.
I would say this is a great opportunity to develop your associate photographer business. Take it up to the next level. So you don't want to lose either client. Double your money.
Double dip.
Yeah. So, I was joking on Facebook and now when I said to hire me and Dustin or me and Jenn to fly over and shoot it, but hire someone to shoot the wedding.
Stephen is a very good associate photographer.
Oh, thanks, babe. Hire somebody to shoot the wedding for you. You can find somebody in your area, second shooter, somebody to shoot the wedding in your area, or if the couple in your area is just too difficult and they won't go to somebody else, you could hire an associate photographer to travel for you and shoot the other wedding for you. I would pick somebody from Uck, where you're from, Mark, because you don't want to fly someone from the U.S. to Norway. But if you do, it better be me. But
I will
I'm just
say
joking,
something that could help encourage the couple. We had a situation where we had someone who was influential who wanted to book us, but I was booked, my associate was booked, and Steve was booked. But they kept on like coming back and saying, like asking whether or not we could shoot their wedding. And of course we wanted to. They also are fantastic people, wonderful family, wonderful couple. We wanted to shoot this wedding, beautiful venue. It was like our ideal couple. So we tried to make it like to kind of bend it around, see what we could do. Steve was actually booked for video. So I had reached out to my couple to say, hey, I wanted to let you know that Steven, that we just hired a new videographer to do our video. He is absolutely fantastic. I talked him up and pretty much said he's better than Steve without saying he's better than Steve.
I read the emails. You said he's better than Steve, and it wasn't like I'm talking him up. It was like, no, seriously, he is better than my husband. My husband is the worst, and this guy's real good.
I did not say that, but I did say that he won an Emmy, so that I think kind of tied it for it. One thing you could do is really talk up, don't call them an associate, but say that I partnered up with a new photographer, and I will be honest with you, really think he or she's him or her, his or hers, her work is comparable, if not better than mine. I
think, to be serious for a second, that might work with the couple, the destination wedding. I don't think that's going to work with the clients who are being difficult.
Who knows? We've already gone over, we booked a videographer. We ended up...
But those clients weren't difficult, couple. A. B, they didn't hire you to do the video. They hired someone they'd never met before, me. I never once talked to them. They never once met me or saw me. These people hired you, Mark, because of your personality, who you are, not just because they saw work online.
But let's look at it this way, though. What if you say, hey, if this is something you want to consider, I will give this to you. You can offer them a slight discount. I mean, when people see, hey, I don't have to spend as much money, sometimes they're more willing to offer that, or to
all people care
accept
about
it.
Is how many pounds they're losing, pounds sterling they're losing.
So you reach out to them, you say these things. If you'd like, give them an option. Don't say, hey, I'm not shooting your wedding. Give it an option. I mean, why not try? Why not try to see if you can shoot this destination wedding? You have to make sure that this wedding is in the books, though, because you are potentially losing 2 weddings if that's the case. One thing you could say to this destination couple is that, hey, I'm currently obligated with time for another event, but there is a possibility that I might be able to have a replacement. So if you are serious about this, what I can do is we can set up a contract that can be breakable if I'm not the one shooting your wedding, or we can set it up to have an associate shoot it. And if I can become available, then I will replace that associate. Those are some things that you can consider if you do want to have 2 weddings for that date.
Jen, you just gave good advice about how he could set up a thing and then try to weasel his way out. This is a comedy show, Jen. We're not supposed to give good advice here.
Sorry, guys. What you should do is go to that person's house they've already booked, find the contract, destroy that contract, go back to your home, email and said, hey, I can't find my contract with you. Can you send it over? And then they can't find it. And you're like, oh, did we even sign it? I just booked someone else. Shit.
Sorry. I was so looking forward to that too, but I booked someone else. Boop. I could offer you an associate though. That's great, Jen. I love that. Really, really firing on all cylinders here today. Jen, I think that's going to do it for us this week on the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast.
I was having so much fun.
Thanks for listening to another episode, everyone, with this week, Jen and Steve. If you want to help us out, jump on iTunes or Stitcher and leave us a 5-star review. If you want to connect, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Wedding Photo Hangover or on Twitter at WedPicHangover. Jen is on Instagram at Jenn Van Elk Photo. That's with 2 N's. Steve is on Instagram at Stephen Van Elk. And Dustin's Ghost is still on Instagram at Dustin_McKibben.
Do you know who's posting for him now?
Ooh, spooky. Whoever was posting for him before, his intern, I guess.
All right.
His intern is still posting for him. He's dead.
It's not funny. Sorry, guys. I tried to set something up for him and it just didn't work.
I'm in the middle of the outro. Give me a break. If you want to get involved with the awesome community of listeners, join the Wedding Hangover Facebook group. If you really want to warm our hearts, head on over to anchor.fm/weddingphotohangover, and you can sign up to support us for as little as 99 cents a month. It's extremely helpful to us into the making of this podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Your head is pounding, your limbs feel like dead weight, and your entire being aches for the sweet embrace of death. That's right. Next Sunday after you shoot, another wedding. Jen, thanks for doing this with me.
You're welcome anytime,
really
babe.
Great. Now that the podcast is over, it's time for the peer review. I'm going to review your work on the podcast.
Let me get situated. Both feet on the ground, hands in my lap, ankles crossed.
The very aggressive sitting stance you've adopted, Jen.
No, shoulders back.
This
The interview stance.
Tens, all tens. You got tens all the way across. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10.
I did pageants growing up.
Yeah, all tens. You're very good. You're very good. You got a good score. Good score. We'd be lovely to have you back again.
You would be lovely.
Yeah. If you're listening, call for help. It's been great having you here. Can't wait to have you back again. Seriously, people, I'm about to die.
I thought you were saying I'm a 10, not that I was going to murder you. So you're glad to know what you think about me.
All tens, all the way. Jen, how's wedding season going?
Not too shabby.
Excited for this year?
I am. I'm really excited. I'm going to say that I'm excited. I will say one negative comment and then I'm going to finish off with how I actually feel. We do have a lot of wedding couples who have ginormous wedding.
Dicks.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's not a negative. Ginormous wedding parties. So it's like we're seeing like 12 on each side almost for every single one of our couples, which is kind of a downfall. But our couples are awesome. We've had just really super great couples. There's not a single one that I am dreading, which I'm super pumped about. We're shooting at some really beautiful venues. Currently don't have any destination weddings on the books, which is actually kind of good. I'm looking forward to having a really low key year because we have so many changes coming up. But we are potentially looking at some California weddings
For 2020.
For 2020. Everybody's getting married in 2020, and we're looking at another Punta Cana wedding. So
All in 2020?
All in
Going back to
2020.
the DR?
Yeah. What about you, Steve? What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to another great year working with my best friend in the entire world,
What's that?
Dustin, on this podcast.
I didn't know you're working with him so much. That's awesome.
Working with you, Jen. Working with you. I'm excited about this year. I think we got a lot of really cool weddings lined up. Real quick before we wrap all this up, Jen, where can the good people find you who listen to this podcast?
So, crazy thing, we do this on a weekly basis.
Except not so much aimed at photographers, more like supporting photographers. And as I like to say to other podcasters who do talk about wedding photography, on the Wedded podcast, Jen and I try to hypnotize your potential clients into giving you the biggest tip possible on the day.
Yeah.
In paying full price.
Oh my gosh, I had the best question ever, and it's pertaining your couple, not mine. The couple asked, what's a good tip to give? Do you know what I said? Because I was like so uncomfortable because I didn't want to say, this much.
$5,000.
Yeah, no, I just said, it really ranges. Like we've had someone tip us $50 before, but we've also had our largest tip, which was $500. So I'll let them pick a range. I was hoping to like a little happy medium in there for you.
And they were like, we're thinking maybe just like some Scarlet Lane Eric Blood Axes. And you were like, Steve
Still
would
good.
love that.
No, but I was like, wow, like that's such a generous question to ask because I've never been asked that before in 10 years. How much should we tip you?
Like a deer caught in the headlights.
Yeah, that does not happen very often.
That's crazy. So I'll be looking forward to that good tip, and I'm going to tell everybody about that sweet money that gets rained
So
down
what's
on
going
me
to
by
happen to
Jen.
that money that I got for you?
That's all going in my pocket.
For
Booze.
For.
beer,
For.
podcast equipment,
For.
dates,
For.
being a good sex boy,
For.
vibrators for you.
Oh my gosh. What kind?
The vibrational kind.
Oh, that sounds fancy.
They play music.
Is that something you want within your vibrator?
It's all stuff by the Buggles. It's gonna be real good.
Can't buy me love. Oh yeah, you can.
So other than on Wedded, where can people find you? Do you have a website?
I don't, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh, how do you get business?
Word of mouth. Almost everybody like contacts me word of mouth. It's just the craziest thing. I don't even have a website.
I'm just so popular.
I do. Guess what it is?
JenniferVanElk.com. That's it.
Yeah.
So Jen, you were wrapping up Crazy Ex-Girlfriend right before this.
I have not finished the episode yet. I am about 4 episodes away from the finale, the series finale. I love that show so much. I'm really sad that it's going, but I understand that it has to be a very time consuming show for the cast and the writers because they're writing songs, 2 to 3, 4 songs an episode. Plus they're writing a script and it's incredibly witty. So it's very well thought out. I really love that show. And I was very turned off by the title. I was like, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, this is going to be another CW trash show. But it was not. It was actually very, very good. And it opened my eyes to other CW shows like Jane the Virgin.
And Arrow. And Flash.
I do not watch those.
Jen can't get enough of Arrow and Flash. She watches them all the time.
I wish I could get into the superhero videos. What am I? Like, am I in the 80s? Superhero.
VHS tapes.
The superhero TV shows. I just.
Got to put them in your VCR to watch them.
I just can't. I don't know. I have to have something with comedy. Like, it's either got to be, like, makes me good cry or it is comedic.
There's lawnmowers mowing outside. There's kids screaming. Our daughter, who was taking a nap, is waking up. We gotta go. Bye.
What a weird ending.
Nor?
Hi, come here. Feel better? Can you say hi?
Say hi, podcast listeners.
Hi.
What's your favorite animal?
Pig.
A pig?
No!
That's an angry pig.
No!
Can you do a sad pig? What's a sad pig sound like?
No!
What does a happy pig sound like?
No!
All right. Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Wedding Photo Hangover was edited this week by Steve Van Elk of Bespoke Tone. Go to Bespoke Tone for all of your photo, video, and audio editing needs.
Woo-wee.